Hey folks, Serdar here. Now, a while back, I talked about PyScript, a way to run Python code directly in your browser as if it were JavaScript. And a lot's happened with the PyScript project since then. It's almost an entirely new project at this point. So to that end, it's worth taking a new look at PyScript and seeing how its latest incarnation brings us closer to the dream of running Python in the browser. Now, I should note that PyScript is still very much a moving target. I've based the examples I'm going to show you on the most recent version of the documentation as of January 2024, but you may want to consult the docs to make sure whatever you attempt to do follows what they say over what I say. So let's start with a super simple example. Now this is a simple hello world example for PyScript in an HTML page. Now for this, all we need is two things: the includes for PyScript in the head block and a script block with our Python code. Now this code does two things. It inserts hello world into our web page itself, and it displays hello terminal in a mini terminal that appears as an embed within the page. Adding text to the web page incrementally we can do with PyScript.display, which is a custom function imported from PyScript's libraries. But print in Python works exactly as it does in regular Python. It just prints to whatever the console is. And in this case, it's this mini console, which we create by using terminal as one of the attributes in the script block. Now you'll notice that when we load this page, there is a distinct pause to load the PyScript elements, and that's because PyScript uses WebAssembly, a few megabytes of it, and that code has to be loaded and started up in order to do anything. JavaScript has the advantage of always being present in the browser. Now, also, because of the way PyScript has to conform to certain browser behaviors, in order to use the full range of PyScript behaviors, we have to load our PyScript files through a miniature web server. We can't load them as local disk files. And I've put together a little server that does what's needed. It's written in Python, and the description for the video will have a link to it on GitHub if you want to try it out for yourself. Now, so far, all we've done is use PyScript's own libraries and Python's built-ins. What if we want to import something from the standard library? Well, guess what? We could do that. So here's the same code, modified to use the datetime module built into Python. And it runs exactly as it does in the Python that we all know. PyScript also has provisions for manipulating the document object model, or DOM, so you can write Python programs that inspect the state of objects on your web page, interact with those objects, or modify them. For instance, let's say we had a web page with an input box, and we wanted to trigger some Python code that reads the contents of that box and does something with the document. So here's how that's accomplished in PyScript. The first thing we need to do is register some kind of handler for a button click event. In PyScript, we have the when decorator, which lets us associate a function with a given JavaScript event on a given object. In this case, it's the click action on my button. Next, we want to access the DOM and manipulate it, and that we do through a PyScript import named document, which behaves pretty much like its JavaScript counterpart. So we can use that to get the value of the input field, and then we can use display to write that value back to the inner HTML of the div. So when we run this, as you can see, we can type whatever we want in the text field and process it, and all that processing is done in Python. You've probably noticed by now that all our Python scripting is being done in a script block in the web page, and this isn't practical. The good news is that we can move the code to an external file served from our web server and referenced in the script block like this. If we load this version of the page, we'll get the same behavior, but our code is now in a standalone file that's far easier to manage. One other thing we can do is use the terminal we saw in previous examples and use it interactively. There's a couple of ways we can do that. One is to launch the REPL, the interactive Python console, and this we can do with the code.interact function in PyScript. As you can see, when we launch this page, we get pretty much the same behavior we'd expect if we launched Python from the command line. And we can also write scripts that take user input, as you would expect, using the input function. And so in this example, we can prompt the user for input and then do something with that input as we would in any Python program. Now, I've only touched on a small subset of PyScript functionality in this video, especially as it is in the current moment. Again, because it's a moving target and there's quite a bit. But I do encourage you setting it up and trying it out on your own. One of PyScript's larger goals is to make it easier to distribute Python programs through a web page. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on how well PyScript evolves to deliver on that promise. So that's it for this episode. If you liked it, leave a comment below, and don't forget to follow Dev with Serdar and InfoWorld on Facebook, YouTube, and Infoworld.com.